Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Ashley Heydrich, your Southern lesbian, and y'all, it has been a couple of weeks. I know I hadn't been as present here. I apologize. Those LA wildfires really got me. I wasn't even in Los Angeles, but as y'all know, or don't know, I lived there for a long time, and that absolutely affected all my friends. And the first 3 days I was watching the news, I couldn't stop crying, you know? And so I was glued to the Watch app and glued to Instagram and watching everybody's, what was happening, and just my favorite neighborhoods and places to hang out in LA just demolished just in an instant. It was unreal. And then Martin Luther King Day happened. We won't get into that. Did y'all notice how on Facebook, if y'all are also on Facebook, that if you were previously following the old POTUS, that you're now following the new POTUS? So do with that what you will. And now, for some reason, I saw that I was also following the vice president. I didn't follow him, y'all. What the hell? Anyway, go through your social media and just look and see if any of that's happening on any of your platforms, because, Facebook and Instagram, I'm not sure what the future is going to be as far as freedom of speech and all that. Even TikTok in the States there's some controversial stuff happening. So I feel like YouTube is a safe platform for us, and as of right now anyway, so come on over, the water's warm if you're hearing this on a different platform. But I would like to continue this podcast and keep talking to y'all, and I feel like we're good here. For now anyway, who knows, y'all, right? Got some interesting stuff to talk to y'all about today, and as you know, I just kind of like to share with y'all the things that are resonating with me, and sort of as I'm going through them. So hopefully there's other people that also this stuff resonates with. There's no real formula here, y'all know that. And I'm battling a little cold today, so just bear with me. I'm gonna try not to cough in your face too much, but I am gonna sip on my little mint tea every now and then. And y'all like that mug? I love that mug. Okay, so today I want to talk to y'all about lesbian dating and suppressed trauma and how it can show up. So Ashley, how did we go from lesbian dating at the beginning of this podcast series to now it's like freaking therapy every week? Well, Brimhilda, I'm going to tell you. I have noticed over my years of dating lesbians, and even in my lesbian friendships, watching their relationships, y'all, there is just this community we know. We were suppressed as kids growing up, right? A lot of us, not all of y'all. I know some of y'all were blessed with amazing families who you felt comfortable coming out of the closet with at an early age. That's not the case for most of us my age, right? For the Gen Xers, for anyone around that age group. I just started to notice a lot of really unhealthy communication patterns and behaviors in my lesbian dating and in my friends' date. Not all of them, y'all, but a lot of them. There were just some similar patterns, and I went, huh. And for me, for sure, the same patterns kept coming up over and over again. It was like, same problem, different body, different girl, right? I know some of y'all can relate to that. As you know, I did a deep dive several years ago and just started diving into therapy and working with a life coach, and that did a lot of good, but still, the things you learn sometimes you don't get to really figure out until you get to put them into practice again, and that means y'all got a date to find that out. So, bless the people around me. I have been practicing these things. I am screwing up a lot. I am falling back into old patterns sometimes, but I'm catching myself now, and that's the point, right? So when you grow up not being able to fully express yourself, and your parents might not have done this to you intentionally, it might have just been that you lived in an area where, I grew up in the South, obviously, and church was such a big part of the culture, and we went every week, and I was involved in all kinds of church activities, and so were my parents. So, when you grow up and you learn that suppressing your own voice is not only okay, but what you're supposed to do, what is that? What does that do to a child's psyche? And what does that tell you as a child? Well, I'm going to tell you what I think. I think it makes you think that lying is okay. Because in a sense, that is lying by omission, right? If you are suppressing parts of yourself and you are going on dates with boys, if you're fearful about expressing who you fully are, and you don't get a chance to practice these things in dating as a youth, as most straight people do, right? So how does it show up in us as adults? Well, Obviously, I think that I'm going to speak for me personally, okay? For me, in the first however many years of my adult dating life, when I actually started to date women, it showed up as lying, and that was okay with me. Not really, like I didn't like it, but I just thought, well, it's kind of what people do, right? It can show up as cheating. I did cheat on a partner once, and even though it was just a kiss, like it haunted me, and it was a long time ago, but I did it once and I felt what that felt like, and I went, okay, I'm never doing that again. And I haven't done that again. But, what does that mean as far as what you'll allow in your life? I mean, y'all, I slept with people who were in committed partnerships with other people as life went on. And I thought, well, that's not my problem. That's okay, because that's not my relationship, right? Anyway, I'm just saying, I categorize that stuff that we had to grow up with, that suppression of our own voice, as trauma. Why wouldn't it be trauma? It kind of is. If you're fearful about it and you have years of developmental stage growing up, learning that you're supposed to suppress yourself, it ain't good. The other things that can show up that are the not so obvious things, right, is when conflict arises. You don't know how to handle it. You retreat. You maybe get quiet and go off into your corner, and you wait for your partner to come around and check on you because you're scared to address a situation because you've never probably properly dealt with these issues growing up. You've never learned how to communicate. It can show up as walking on eggshells because we are so used to not wanting to be in conflict and not wanting to say the thing that we need to say in the moment that we need to say it, to express ourselves and to feel heard and safe, that we put it aside, right? Like I've caught myself doing that a lot in the last several months because we're people pleasers. Let's be real, we're people pleasers. So we would rather suppress our own voice still to this day, like that's the natural inclination, right? Suppress your voice. Don't speak up. Don't say the thing that you need right now because somebody else is getting what they need. Well, that ain't okay. That's not okay. Because what does that do? That, what I have learned in essence, is essentially like a certain type of manipulation and allowing manipulation, but you're doing it to yourself. You see what I'm saying? So if you're suppressing your own voice, you're putting somebody else's need first. They're not manipulating you. You can't be mad at them. They're just living their life. But you're kind of manipulating yourself, right? So let's don't do that. Let's don't do that. Let's learn to speak up, say the thing we need to say, when we need to say it gently, so that we can trust ourselves, so that we can feel the fear and do it anyway. There's a part of me that feels like this also is a big connect between women of a certain age. You don't have to be a lesbian, a woman. I mean, you can be anybody, trans. Y'all are all welcome here, safe space. But I think there's a big connect here with women, all of us not maybe feeling as comfortable going out and diving into the dating world again. Talked a little bit before about dating fears, and I'm so curious, y'all. Do you find that resonates? Do you think that could be something? I was reading this book, and I'm going to show y'all where this is coming from. Oh my God, if y'all haven't read this book yet, I'm not even halfway through it yet, and I'm so inspired. And yes, as I was reading this book, it's The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, and I love her. She does a deep dive into this stuff, right? Where talking about triggers, because I've had a lot of issues with triggers in the past, so I thought this might be cool to read. So Let Them is kind of about learning how to sit with your emotions as they come up. I'm not going to summarize this because she does a lot better job. Y'all should buy the book, read the book. It's so good and goes into such detail so that it'll stick. It's kind of about just when triggers arise, when somebody has behavior that you don't like, when you get sad, when someone disappoints you, when there's conflict, learning to just let them, right? And that is easier said than done because triggers are an autonomic response from our amygdala, right? So it's not even something that you can always stop and think about. Sometimes it's just bleh, you've reacted, and well, for fuck's sake, Broomhilda, there you are again, and you're in this situation where now you've upset somebody. You probably upset yourself because you're not happy with your own behavior. This is just that reminder to sit with those feelings, stop your mouth. Think before you speak, hold it. She says that the science says that if you can allow that feeling to sit for 90 seconds and boil up, that it will pass. And that the more you practice this, basically, the easier it gets to recognize. And I'm praying for that day. So like I said, even as I'm doing these podcasts, y'all, I am doing the work. I am in the thick of it. So I'm just trying to share with y'all stuff that I'm learning and that just could maybe make y'all think for a second. You might want to pick that book up. It's excellent so far. I may do another podcast on the second half of the book. I don't know yet, but it's pretty darn good. The learning to feel your emotions. Did y'all see me spit? I'm sorry. Anyway, learning to feel your emotions and that they're okay. Like so many of us, I think, are so scared to feel those emotions, right? And that's why we sit back for so long. That's why we're afraid to speak up, or we're afraid to sense somebody else's emotions or somebody else's reactions. But it sort of teaches you to step outside of your own body for a second and observe them. Let's say it's your partner or a friend or somebody, a family member for crying out loud, who always has these big reactions and they say stupid things that hurt your feelings. And it essentially asks you to just take a look at them as if they're an 8-year-old, because chances are, most adults have not done work on themselves, sadly. Wouldn't this be a different world if therapy was normalized? And it certainly wasn't in my generation. The younger folks today, for sure, therapy is why the F aren't you going to therapy? Absolutely, you should be in therapy. Everybody should be in therapy. So look at them as if they're 8 years old, because essentially, kids have these responses. They throw tantrums when they don't get what they want. Now when you have a child, or when you were a child, what do you do when a kid throws a tantrum? You don't give them what they want, right? No, you let them sit with that emotion. You let them learn how to self-soothe. You talk them through it. If you're a good parent, hopefully you don't react in an evil way, because that might have traumatized them. That's kind of the point she's making here too, right? Is that as these emotions rise up within you, just sit with it, talk yourself through it as best you can, and look at that other person as an 8-year-old, right? And just look at them and say, well, it kind of makes you feel a little bit almost sorry for them. Instead of it being about you and you getting all butthurt and upset by what they're saying, doesn't it? To me, it kind of makes me go, oh, you got some work to do there. I'm going to be over here just observing and being quiet and giving you a moment. Or if it's real bad, I haven't put this into practice yet, y'all, but I think I'm going to start. When these things come up, is just walk out of the room for a minute, say, I need a moment, walk out of the room, give it a minute. Learning how not to take something personally is huge. That's something that I definitely have had to work on. It's something I still work on quite a bit, because if somebody says something to me, and it's somebody I really care about, family member, somebody you're dating, friend, coworker, boss, you feel it. You feel attacked, right? And I've kept sort of finding myself saying those words, I feel attacked, in conversation. And why? Do I believe those things that they're saying? Well, hopefully not, because I do a lot of work on myself, and I pride myself in telling people that if I'm doing something that upsets them, that they absolutely can approach me gently, and I want them to approach me gently to tell me what it is, because I would like to do better. I have a growth mindset. I would like to do better. Now that doesn't mean that if you're telling me something stupid that doesn't make any sense, that I'm going to listen to you. But y'all know what I'm saying, right? Learning how not to take things personally is gold. It can make a huge difference in your life if you can get to that point and learn to separate the two of that's your opinion through your filter, through whatever's going on with you today, and you didn't sleep well last night, or this is pissing you off because you're not going to get what you want to hear. I don't know what it is, but your filter, not my filter. But learning how to control your own emotions when that happens is life-changing. I do think that the few times that I've been able to do that, that is where the growth occurs for both parties. That is where the love deepens. As y'all are thinking about diving back into the dating pool or just relationships in general, I want you to not be afraid of conflict. I just want you to have the tools to get through it, because conflict, from what I've learned, is just the relationship trying to deepen. If we have conflict, and we're going to, there's no avoiding it. There's always going to be conflict. The trick is how you get through it and how calmly you get through it. And you can't control the other person. You can only control yourself and regulate your own emotions. So that's what we have to work on. So conflict, you want to learn what your partner gets upset about. You want to learn the things that is going to make them happy, and nobody's perfect. And these things come up in craziest little moments, and sometimes it's over the stupidest little things, but I think it's important for people to feel heard. So what I've learned is I like to feel heard. I don't like somebody talking over me. I don't want them to take what I've said and dismiss it, and nor does my partner or my friends or anybody else that I've had these engagements with. So maybe just sitting quietly for a minute when someone's expressing themselves to you if they're upset, and just let them get it out, because just letting people get it out goes a long ways. People want to be heard. And then after they're done, maybe sit for a second and say, okay, am I understanding this correctly? Because I want to. And repeat it back to them and see if they say, yeah, that's right, or no, you're not getting it. Make sure you're trying to have clarity with them first before you jump in and rebut whatever it is that they're saying, as I have had a tendency to do, y'all. Look, I'm trying to help y'all because I learned the hard way, so I'm trying to help y'all. Because sometimes, people may have a good point on something, but then they'll throw in something else and you're like, wait, no, that doesn't make sense. Just freaking let them get it out. Just let them get it out. Change doesn't happen overnight, y'all. It takes time and it takes practice. So give yourself grace. I would love for y'all to start dating and having somebody to do this practice work with, and gently. And like my former life coach, Dina, says, we had a hashtag called Subtle Change, Profound Impact. And it's the subtle changes that you make that make big changes, profound changes in your life over time. And I am going to link those podcast episodes, because I don't think a lot of y'all know that I had this podcast, y'all, where I literally worked through a lot of problems with my life coach on a podcast. I will link that podcast under the playlist on your Southern Lesbian, and it's called Life in the New Normal. It may come up as LITNN. There's 2 years worth of episodes there y'all can scroll through, and there's a lot of, we call them daily inspirations, little 60-second clips of just like good reminders that she would do of stuff to just help you along your journey. So I'm going to link all that stuff so y'all can look at all that stuff too. Now, those were a couple years ago. I have learned a little bit since then, but whatever. It's there for y'all if you want it. Okay? Thank you so much again, as always, for being here. I appreciate you. Comment below and tell me what you think about these crazy ideas that I have. Is this resonating with y'all? That's what keeps me going and keeps me coming back here. So I hope that it does. I hope that y'all are getting something out of this. Like, share, follow, all of that supports so much for creators like myself who want to keep coming back and doing this. And I think, like I said, I think YouTube is going to be a safe space for us. So I'm happy to stay right here. I will link the book in the show notes. So if you'd like to check out that Mel Robbins book, Let Them, I'll link it in there so y'all can go right to it on Amazon. And I'd love to know what you think. It's so, so good. All right, y'all, wishing you lots of love. Have a wonderful week. Hang in there. We are in crazy times. We will get through this. We got to keep going. And we're here for each other. All right? Thank y'all. Bye-bye.